massive budget down there in LSU, no doubt about it, Joe. But
I just want to bring in, he's very close to Eddie O, too.
Yeah.
And Eddie O potentially had said he would, love a return. You bring that type of talent, another major recruiter.
Yes.
And Ed Ogeron back to Baton Rouge. You're going to have a fantastic NFL caliber type of staff, and they're going to hit the ground running week number 1 come 2026.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There are a million ways to make money on this. There really is, right? Like, I sit back. We've given you a couple of ours that we've given you. I think they're all going to win, essentially. The gold one, the Google Views one. The only one I might not win, Cam, that I gave people was, will the U.S. government announce that aliens exist in 2026?
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Here's the problem. When Joe Dumars blows it up and trades Zion, who is going to give them anything more than 25 cents on the dollar for a damaged goods superstar who misses significant time, who doesn't love the game, but is built like a freight train? Problems are in New Orleans, and I don't know how it gets fixed.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Florida was thought to get Lane Kiffin, but they go and turn to Tulane head coach John Summerall. This is a solid hire, coach.
He's a tough-minded coach. I thought he would be a perfect fit at Auburn, just knowing he's from Alabama. But I think Florida got an outstanding coach. He will be a tough nut that knows how to win football games.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Let's get down to the business, people. It's hour number 2. The topics that you need in your life, Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri will give to you here. But also, Joe, sometimes you go outside of your house, you're just trying to get to work. Like, ooh, it's cold out here. I better put extra layers of clothing on. Okay. And then there's the football players that have to go out there. They can't wear triple fat goose jackets under their uniform. They put on some Vaseline, strap it up, get ready to go, and hit each other at 440 speed. So why are you bringing this up, Donnie? We're in the month of December. Yeah, it's getting cold out here. Cleveland and Chicago, Joe. This line opened up at 7.5. It still sits at 7.5. The total, 39.5, is down a point to 38.5. We have a graphic on a tweet that we're going to pop up on the screen right now. I don't know who wants to play in this, let alone be out there cheering for this. Wind chills this weekend have the potential to be the coldest of the year in the Midwest, with overnight chills around minus 30. The Sunday Bears versus Browns game, maybe around minus 20 wind chills at kickoff. One of the coldest games since Chiefs-Dolphins wild card game. Unbelievable cold temperatures here for Shedeur and also Caleb Williams.
Yeah, which leads me to think, Donnie, that the team that can actually run the ball is going to win this game and probably win it rather easily. And I think that's advantage Chicago. And listen, these two teams should have no problem. Yeah, it's going to be cold, but you play in Chicago, you play in Cleveland. This is part of the game in the AFC North and the NFC North. So there should not be a ton to complain about here. You're built, these teams, to play in games like this, in conditions like this, because you want to be able to run the ball. But what happens if you're the Browns and you fall behind and now have to throw the ball with Shedeur Sanders? This, I can't wait to see.
By the way, the other morning, Joe, it's 22 degrees here in New Jersey, which, again, isn't like, oh, my goodness, I'm going to die out here. But I had to walk out and grab a trash can. I just had my, collared shirt on. When I got in the house, it felt like my collared shirt was frozen. So then drop it another 40 or so degrees feel out there in the marketplace. And also, Joe is right. Good luck being a wide receiver, because last time I checked, Caleb Williams has a howitzer on his arm. How about his laser beam throws? Yeah, you're going to want to catch that with your pads in that game. Freezing cold temperatures, something certainly to keep an eye on, man. It's crazy stuff. You in Florida,
I had to get up this morning, put the garbage out. 53 degrees this morning, Donnie. I had to put a jacket on. I know exactly what you mean, man. Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Did you get hit by the iguana in the palm tree on your head because it was so cold out there? Come on now.
Umbrella in hand, Donnie. You never know here. It gets around that 50 degrees. They don't mess around. It rains iguanas down here. Brutal.
I'll tell you, raining iguanas and not messing around. Let's bring up the early lineup here because we're talking about Sherrone Moore. If they included somehow an iguana into this situation, we'd probably believe it getting all the details that we're getting now. Sherrone Moore, the head coach of Michigan, multi-year contract, millions of dollars, a Michigan man trying to get Michigan back off the carpet here of this season. You know what? Let's go win a bowl game. Let's get in the next season. He was fired yesterday midday. Wow. They made a move because they're unhappy that they didn't beat Ohio State. That's pretty interesting here. Oh, no, wait. He was having an affair with a staff member. Meanwhile, he is married with 3 children, and something you can't do in the HR department literally looks for here. Then we find out after he was fired, he tried to go to the mistress' house and break into there and then wound up being arrested by police. And we're finding out allegedly he could be in a mental institution. This is all within about 10 hours, Joe.
Escalated quickly, Donnie. It really did from what we thought was going to happen here. Like Michigan was going to have an opportunity to take on Texas, in a couple of weeks in a bowl game. And, Michigan, pretty good recruiting year. And now, no, in a matter of 6 hours yesterday, Donnie, all of Michigan Nation, Big Blue, was completely blown up. And you know who's smiling right now? Ohio State Nation right now is chuckling, to say the least.
Yeah, who's going to be next in line? Because the one thing we do know is most of the good coaches are taken here. But Michigan is a premier job. And if Michigan wants to go out and get a player, they got some big backers and alumni that will stroke that check to get a miracle hire in there at this late moment. I'm interested to see where Michigan goes. Do they go with another Michigan man, which means you got to cheat on the field and off the field? Or do they break clear of the Michigan man and say, enough with this athletic department? Do not have anybody tied whatsoever to Michigan, Joe, coming back here.
Having Biff Poggi as your interim coach right now is going to be interesting. But the timing, right, could not be any worse as well, Donnie. Yep. Who's left? They're not just going to hire anybody. So, it went from bad to worse for Michigan yesterday in a 6-hour period.
That's a good one. How about Phillip Rivers here? We actually got some video on Phillip Rivers going like, you know what? Let's get the party started, people.
If that's where it goes, I'll be ready to go. I'm preparing like that. I'm going to prepare and push for that. And I'm not pushed. I don't mean push them for that. I mean push myself to get there. And if that's what we feel is better, or if they feel, we collectively feel is the best decision, then we'll go. Got some good memories in Seattle. Some not so great. And I know how good that sinking team is and how well they're playing right now. So, me at 30 years old, me at 44 years old, going to Seattle and winning in 2025 in week 14 or whatever it is, it's going to be tough. There's been a lot of quarterbacks go in there, and it's been tough. So, again, take back down from those kind of challenges, but we're just going to keep taking it, one day at a time. Excited to get on the practice field. See how that's going to be another step in the process.
By the way, talks fast. In my personal life, I don't talk as fast as I do on the air. If I threw a Colts hoodie on and a Colts hat on and impersonated Phillip Rivers, I think I might be able to get somewhere. Don't you think?
Donnie, I think you actually could pull it off.
Yeah,
but the funniest part about that is when he walked into the press conference. It has been so long since he has played. He legit thought he might have had to put on a mask and hop on a Zoom call. He didn't realize that, there were actual people in the room. That's how long he has been away from the game. He thought he was doing a Zoom conference. Unbelievable. Way to go, Phillip. I am all in on it. I can't wait to see this.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen this weekend. Yes. By the way, his passing yards are dropping. He's down to 145.5 yards at some outlets here. Please let him start this weekend so we can watch this play out. And also, Jay Daniels, please don't start him the rest of the year if you want a future in Washington. He's out this week. He should be out the rest of the way, Joe.
Yeah, unless they're just pandering right now to the base, the fan base here, Donnie. I don't know what you're doing. Shut them down. Mariota's good to go. Finish out the string and be done. You've already been eliminated. There is no good reason, with all the injuries affecting this team, to roll the future quarterback of your organization out there to get crushed again.
By the way, Pete Alonso was supposed to retire a Met. At least the fans thought that way. And you just think of Pete Alonso as a Met. But for some reason, that ownership group doesn't like Pete Alonso at all and basically tried to string this out for years. And now finally, woo, finally wiped our hands clean of that. He goes to the Orioles for big money, and that is a power lineup now.
Imagine being the Mets and you are outbid for your own franchise guy, the guy that's been there from the very beginning, a fan favorite. And yes, you basically couldn't pony up the $150 million. It's laughable, Donnie, on so many levels. I don't know what it is. And you're right. I don't know what the riff is, but my goodness. I think Alonso landed in a pretty good place, and they're going to like him in Baltimore a lot, that fan base.
How about this one, OKC? 24-1 through 25 games. Moving on to the Cup final, Joe. Ain't no stopping us now. That's OKC.
Not only, Donnie, looking at their schedule ahead, I'm having a hard time not only finding a loss, but finding a spot in which they won't be a double-digit favorite. That's how good this team is.
How about the NFL saying, we don't want a fiasco of what we had previously when the refs don't show up to play and we allow stupid Hail Marys like in Seattle and Green Bay. And then also, we're going to be playing much more football games overseas. And also on top of that, the NFL draft, quicker first rounds, people. I like that. Let's get these quick first rounds.
Yeah, they shaved off a big 2 minutes, huh, Donnie? Between those picks, 2 minutes, huh?
How about this? Look, I don't even need it between rounds, Joe. Just the first pick in the draft. There is no clock. Immediately when they come up, they have to pick. Don't wait. How about that? We'll be back. Yeah. Massive budget down there in LSU, no doubt about it, Joe. But
I just want to bring in, he's very close to Eddie O, too.
Yeah.
And Eddie O potentially had said he would, love a return. You bring that type of talent, another major recruiter.
Yes.
And Ed Ogeron back to Baton Rouge. You're going to have a fantastic NFL caliber type of staff, and they're going to hit the ground running week number 1 come 2026.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
There are a million ways to make money on this. There really is, right? Like I sit back, we've given you a couple of ours that we've given you. I think they're all going to win, essentially. The gold one, the Google Views one. The only one I might not win, Cam, that I gave people was, will the U.S. government announce that aliens exist in 2026?
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Here's the problem. When Joe Dumars blows it up and trades Zion, who is going to give them anything more than 25 cents on the dollar for a damaged goods superstar who misses significant time, who doesn't love the game, but is built like a freight train? Problems are in New Orleans, and I don't know how it gets fixed.
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Florida was thought to get Lane Kiffin, but they go and turn to Tulane head coach John Summerall. This is a solid hire, coach.
He's a tough-minded coach. I thought he would be a perfect fit at Auburn, just knowing he's from Alabama. But I think Florida got an outstanding coach. He will be a tough nut that knows how to win football games.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
But when we talk about Michigan sold their soul for a national championship, we didn't think just a few years later that they literally did sell their soul for a national championship. Michigan, one of the biggest scandals we've ever seen, cheated off the field and on the field by stealing signs and covering it up, and nobody cared because they won. And I was always on this network, Joe, saying, you know what? I applaud that. Because you never, ever get the full scope of the cheating ramifications. Harbaugh, you can't come back to college for 10 years. Bro, I'm a pro coach. Sherrone Moore, you were part of that staff. How about maybe 1, 2, or 3 game suspension, keep your full pay, and you're back in it? Michigan fans will take that every year if you're going to get some sort of coaching suspension for every couple years, having a legitimate chance to win a national championship. But now we see them as coachless. Why? Because Sherrone Moore didn't actually get fired for the cheating scandal. He got fired for his own cheating scandal. And if you weren't paying attention yesterday, once again, Sherrone Moore was actually arrested, not because he cheated on his wife and his kids here, but for the fact is he's breaking and entering in now, losing his mind as he goes, losing his job, losing his family, and losing his freedom in a matter of what, 10 hours?
This is just a truly unbelievable story that we never had any hint of there being an issue here at all. And as far as Michigan fans felt 24 hours ago, Donnie, they were getting ready. They were going to beat Texas in a bowl game. Everything was looking up. Underwood coming back next year. Everything is great in Michigan except, well, Biff Poggi is now going to be your interim head coach. And now we have no idea what leadership and who is going to be involved in trying to find the next coach, who that might be, who's available. And just like that, Donnie, I can't wait to see how many guys take their name off of that recruiting sheet and be like, yeah, I might be decommitting from Michigan at this point. Unbelievable.
Human beings making mistakes they shouldn't make happens every single day. Can you imagine having a job that pays you millions of dollars per year? And if you get fired and it's not with cause, you get all of that money to go home and relax. Like you say, Brian Kelly, oh, man, thinks he got fired. He got like $50 million in his pocket. Sherrone Moore got fired, lost his job, won't get any compensation, blew up his family life, and now finds himself in jail in a matter of a few hours at this point. It's crazy times. I know you can't believe it, but it actually is happening in real time right now. I'll tell you what else is happening in real time right now. The ACC making smart moves. Push Notre Dame into the college football playoff here because they are your conference member and not Notre Dame, but also making the point. We can't be leaving good football teams out. We must expand, which Joe always brings up the point. They might have the perfect scenario at 12, but you can't have a chance where 2 G5s actually get in. Because if we didn't have any G5s in, we'd probably have the perfect playing field right now, and nobody would be really upset of who got in. But if we're going to continue to have musical chairs where G5s can make it, you got to increase it to at least 16 teams, Joe. You just do.
Yeah, no, and I am all for it. No, you don't. And listen, Diego Pavia, I absolutely loved what this kid said. He should win the Heisman just based on his comment saying that if a G5 program wins the national championship, he's going to donate all his NIL money to that school and to that team. He is saying the quiet part out loud.
Yes.
Stop with this is the biggest participation trophy I've ever seen, and it doesn't belong in college football. If you are a G5 team and you are rated top 15 in the country, you are that good, by all means you're in. But come on here. I mean, they have zero chance of winning this. Our friends at Calshi, Donnie, even know they have close to a zero chance of winning a national championship.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. This might have been a decade ago, but when we talk about these scenarios, which could never happen, you can do whatever you want with money purposes and say whatever you want. Was it Warren Buffett that's like, hey, perfect bracket, we'll give you $1 billion if you can do it?
Yes.
No, that it's never going to be a perfect bracket. So you could have put $50 billion out there and be like, ooh, that seems like a lot of fun. Absolutely not at this point. So it's funny. Like, hey, G5 wins, I'll give you all my money. No, and you can sleep comfortably at night because that is never going to happen. And watch it probably happen this year, and JMU makes a run to the title. Nonsense. It's not going to happen. By the way, Ed Orgeron, we interviewed him here a couple years ago at the Super Bowl. Real fun guy, real personable, and he tells it like it is. How about this story yesterday on paying SEC players? His quote, back then, we used to walk through the back door with cash. Now, we just got to walk through the front door with the cash. So hilarious and so true in the SEC.
And he's not lying. It's funny because it's true, Donnie. And again, another guy saying the quiet part out loud. It's refreshing, honest, to get this kind of honest, where we're not just saying the right thing because we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, like poor Jam. Oh, stop it, please. Exactly. Donnie, I know guys that would have to go and take a valet job, not because they were parking cars, but because they get into one car, the envelope would be in the glove compartment, they take it and never park the damn car. are. So he's exactly saying what everybody already knew, but always ran from the truth. Priceless, Coach. Love it.
Exactly. Like, don't you remember the old school? Like, we used to have one day a year in February where the kids got to commit to school. And, hey, Patrick Peterson, man, he's going to look so good in that Miami uniform. Wait. He's at LSU. What happened here? Book bags get dropped off. Cars get parked necessarily here. Feelings change at that point. Those are the old days in the SEC. Now, you're right. You just come through the front door with millions of dollars for people to come to your institution here. I'll tell you, you're probably not doing this sort of, bag stealing here with Army and Navy. Those boys are going into the military, and away they go. They're going to play this weekend, Joe, in a 6.5-point favorite right now for a Navy in a total of 38.5. The midshipmen close to a touchdown favorite going up against Army.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, Navy offensively has been at a different level this year. And I get the numbers, and the history tells us service academies versus service academies. It has been very profitable to back the under. I'm not buying it this year here. I do think, and we've seen Navy with Blake Horvath, their quarterback. I mean, he's throwing the ball 12 to 15 times a game, Donnie, completing 62% of his passes. As good as Army may be at defending the option, they're not very good at defending the pass. They could get a ton of points in this game. So I would look at the over only in this spot.
By the way, I do love this game for one reason. It's played every year. There's a lot of tradition. It's good to see the cadets also, in these stands. But at the same time, the uniform releases here are something you always have to watch, because I'm telling you right now, some of those Navy uniforms of the past 25 years, one of the cleanest looking uniforms you could possibly find. We'll see what they're wearing this weekend and have some fun with that. Kalshi Markets, Poly Markets. Let's go next.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
What? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why though?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing? And now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Kalshi Markets here. Let's have some fun with those predictive markets today, Joe. A couple topics to deal with. A little bit of basketball here. Topic number 1, men's March Madness round of 64 qualifiers. Now, here's the interesting part. There's a couple teams that are left out in here as I'm scrolling through, Joe, and I don't know why. So let me take a look at more markets and see if everybody pops up. And guess what? I have Indiana as the favorite here, listed at 78% as a chance, which means if they make March Madness, you lay your money down now, $100 pays back $129. But why don't I see like teams like, I don't know, Duke involved? Is that just because there's no market and they're listed at just 100%, even though it's not here, Joe? I need to know why I can't bet Duke, even if it's going to return me back 50 cents.
Yeah, well, apparently, Donnie, I think even Kalshi knows at this point, like, yeah, we're basic. What it should be, Donnie, is it Duke or the field? Because that's kind of exactly the direction everyone seems to be heading. But I would caution everyone, listen, it's been a great start to the season for Duke, but we see this every year. There will be lulls at some particular point for everyone, including Duke. These are still 18, 19-year-old, Donnie. There is still a lot of basketball to be played. You can't bet Duke now in anything anyway in the future market. You need to wait until maybe they do slip up here a little bit and then get them at a better price.
Yeah, take a look at some of those schools a little bit lower down, like Dayton's at 32%, $100 pays back $313. But those guys not really at-large bids at that point. They're automatic big guys that have to win their leagues. Same thing with like a South Dakota State as you go down, maybe a Creighton or a Winthrop there. So it's an interesting marketplace to sort of go over and say, you know what? Where would you like to place your money this early in the season, but leaving out some of the guys that you know automatically would be in? And certainly these lines will be changing because we're not even into conference play truly yet. That's really going to start underway late December and into early January. Kentucky, I believe, is listed here. Kentucky is, let's see, yes, 68%, Joe, which means a $100 wager pays back $148. So a 48% increase there. I should say 48% profit in your money if they make the round of 64.
Donnie, I mean, let's look at them, right? We're always talking about in these Kalshi markets, right? Buy low, sell high, right? It ain't going to get much lower for Kentucky right now. They're not even in the top 25, Donnie, which I can't, this is the worst start since I think the COVID season there. With Calipari, they started 1-6 before SEC play. But my goodness, I mean, they've lost to North Carolina, lost to Gonzaga. They've lost to everybody that is anybody. But this is a team, one of the best teams on paper that money can buy. Yeah. So I think this is a pretty good opportunity to buy low on Kentucky.
I think it's a, $22 million payroll for Kentucky here, and you're losing to every team that's basically your size and your athletic ability, but just beating the smaller teams here. Something has to turn around for Pope and the boys of Kentucky. We'll see if it does. The ACC regular season champion. If you want to know why you can't bet on the Kalshi market for Duke to make the playoffs, well, how about this? Just bet on Duke to win the ACC. A $100 wager at 59%. That pays back $150 on your return. Louisville, North Carolina, Virginia Tech at the top of the standings, but Duke right now running away with it, Joe.
Yeah, I think Louisville's a very interesting play here for that. And I would not sleep on the U, Donnie. I would not sleep on the University of Miami here. Maybe a little bit of a dark horse in the ACC for it. New coach, new players. A lot of NIL money. They are playing.
Maybe a scandal could knock down Duke like it did Michigan. You never know. That's why you take some of those underdogs here. Anything can happen, as we like to say. Any given Sunday, well, any given Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday in the ACC. Let's get over to the Champions League winner. I assume this is soccer, and it is, Joe. Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Man City, PSG. Nobody cares about soccer, do they? I mean, Kalshi markets right now, was it maybe $1 traded on this Champions League? Champions League, stop it.
Champions League, Donnie. Yes. Whoever the favorite is, usually would be a nice bet probably to go with here when it's all said and done. Because let's face it, we're only interested in the World Cup here in the United States simply because, well, it's going to be here in the USA.
How about this, Joe? A $100 wager on Galatasaray to win it all. What do you think about that? Or Leverkusen or Marseille? One of those guys?
I like Leverkusen. I do like Leverkusen. I'd throw a couple of bucks there on Leverkusen. Why not?
How about Napoli? Is that where is that where Maradona played for Napoli back in the day? Look at that. I'm a soccer genius at this point right now. How about SL Benfica? What country is that? Spain? Benfica? Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal.
Yeah. Oh, man. We are getting all of our knowledge right here. Yeah, Dortmund's out here.
Don't get me on Borussia Dortmund. Don't get me on Borussia Dortmund here.
How about Schalke 84? Is there a team called Schalke 84 or 04? Which reunion team was it? I don't know. We'll be right back. Don't you miss out, people.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shador Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
What? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why though?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing and now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
We talk about referendums all the time for football teams. Show me on the football field what you got out here. And it's going to take place this weekend. It's Buffalo and New England. Show me what you got, New England, again and again and again. Because some people aren't believing in Drake May and the Patriots can be that good. They win against Buffalo this weekend. They shore up the AFC East. They could actually be the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. But Josh Allen is going to have a lot to do with how this game turns out. And how about this? The opening lines, Joe, actually had New England as a favorite, -1.5. It's been bouncing back and forth. 1.5s and 1s, both sides, all week long. 64% of the tickets currently coming in on the New England Patriots, and a total of 49.5, up from 47.5. Chilly conditions, not ice-freezing conditions with tons of wind in Foxborough, so both of these teams should be at home. The Buffalo Bills, they can make their last stand in this game, or the New England Patriots say, you're the old guard, we're the new guard. Get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's clear that the markets believe New England, great story. It really has turned the franchise around. But at some point, they are expecting some regression against, certainly it looks like anyways, the market's telling us, Donnie, better teams. And I think this all starts with Josh Allen. I think what you just watched against Cincinnati, his mobility, him using his legs now more often. 84 yards last week, which is the most by a quarterback in a game this year. That's going to continue this time of year throughout. And New England, I think the offensive line injury is a big problem for them. In the meantime, the Bills are getting back Spencer Brown, their right tackle, and they're getting Joey Bosa back. And if this thing turns into a shootout because there is some snow in the forecast, it's advantage Buffalo. Donnie, any which way you cut it, it's advantage Buffalo. So I agree with the line here, and I do think this is the time of year where Josh Allen just goes out and wins games and snatches it from you.
Here's Vrabel talking about being maybe a handicapper here, Joe, huh? How about this?
The people in Las Vegas have you guys as underdogs sundown. Who are the people, man? I guess the odds maker. There you go. The odds maker. Are they called odds maker? The odds makers. a lot of people in Las Vegas. There's only a few of them that they trust to set the line. So, do you pay attention to that? I mean, do you notice that? Well, no, I mean, again, it gets brought to attention. I don't think that, it's every week you see in this league that records really don't mean anything. The point spreads and survivor pools get blown up every week and all that other stuff. So, but we're just trying to focus on our preparation here and get back into it.
By the way, if they tell you, Joe, that they don't look at the point spread the first thing every single week, they are lying to you. We're not saying they're gambling on the game, but even they want to know what everybody thinks. Hey, look at that, coach. They say you're 3.5-point dog. Absolutely. So you saw that little pause and almost like that wry smile I wanted to give. Like, do you pay attention to this? He had to give the corporate answer, but we all understand. Of course they look at this.
Well, who said anything about survivor pools? Like, he throws out survivor pools. He throws out the fact that there's only a handful of odds makers they trust in Vegas to actually set like, oh my goodness, you seem to know. Unlike Pete Carroll, who says, we're just competing till the end. Yeah, okay, Pete, sure.
Yep, Pete's like, you know what? Mark Davis said, you get me this cover this weekend, boy. You might stick around here. I'll get you that cover. Don't you worry about it. And he did, people. Detroit and Los Angeles. Who's getting the cover in this game? Better yet, who's getting the win? Detroit could be on the ropes with another loss, and the Rams in an absolute fight in the NFC West. A 5.5-point favorite up from 3.5 here. Jared Goff takes Detroit on the road. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he's going to be healthy, be able to give it a go. Last time we saw them with a victory. But this is a tough go. 5.5-point line. But how about this, Joe? I'm looking at ticket counts. Heavy ticket count towards Detroit. You know what? I don't buy it. You are better on offense and defense and a better head coach and play caller with the Rams, and the Rams are at home. I think I might go Rams. I'll go with the non-public side.
I already bet the Rams, Donnie, but again,
whoa, there you go.
We've seen this go from 5 to 5.5. Yep. Now it's at 6, and like you said, the public's looking at Detroit and saying, absolutely not. Like, this is far too many points. Well, no, it's not. And look at the injury report. They have nobody left in that secondary. They lost Brian Branch to an Achilles injury in that last game there. They've got backups to backups on the cornerback spot. Who is covering these wide receivers exactly for Detroit? Sure, they're going to have to score some points, but they're going to give up 40 points, Donnie. And don't forget, Detroit after a loss is one thing. Detroit after a win this year, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the number.
How about that? A big game to watch. It should be some fun, too, because you look at that total, Joe, 55.5 points are expected in that game. Both of these teams really can get after it. One thing to keep an eye on, Devontae Adams still a little bit with that banged-up hamstring here. Tutu Atwell is actually going to be activated this week, so give him a little bit more punch. But the one thing we do know, these guys are going to be ultra-aggressive on both sides. Should be a fun one to watch it play out. Here's one game, Joe, I can't understand. Green Bay and Denver. Fantastic matchup here. One of the best in the NFC versus one of the best in the AFC. You do have Green Bay as a 2.5-point favorite, which I actually do agree with, in a total of 42.5. Here's what I can't understand, Joe. Every game we look at that's outdoors in a cold weather so city is freezing this weekend. Kickoff temperature for Green Bay and Denver, 60 degrees. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it makes some sense here, but the Green Bay Packers also, Joe, only getting about 30% of the tickets and are the favorites when they opened up as a 1.5, now sit at 2.5. The public's starting to believe in Denver, but the odds makers going the opposite direction.
And let's face it, this game has got some juice for both these teams, even though it's AFC, NFC, right? But both of these teams are in contention for the number 1 seeds and a first-round bye, Donnie, which, we've talked about it. Denver, if they can get home field advantage throughout, that is huge. Same thing with Green Bay. But I don't think you need to overthink this here, Donnie. We've talked about it. Denver and Bo Nix, at home, they're better. But it doesn't matter. Home away, they never get blown out. And his record in a 6-point teaser is crazy, Bo Nix, as the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos. If I can get them at 8.5 at home, Donnie, I'm good to go to make that an anchor in any teasers I'm looking at this week.
I think you're right about that, too. And also understand this. If there's one quarterback, and even though Bo Nix is young, with a devastating pass rush, he moves really well in the pocket, man. He is fleet of feet back there. He's hard to sack. And if you look at some of those numbers where he's ultra efficient in the short passing game, something to keep an eye on. I still do think Green Bay wins that game, but Denver and Bo Nix, they're never out of it. And if they're down touchdown or so in the fourth quarter, the kid knows how to come back. Something to watch there. Sunday Night Football, Minnesota and Dallas, Joe. 6.5-point favorites here at the opening number. 6.5 at FanDuel, 5.5 at DraftKings here. Still right around a touchdown and a total 47.5. McCarthy, whoa. Decent football game last week in a blowout victory over Washington. Dallas looks to get back CeeDee Lamb after that concussion. We're expecting points here. I'm still trying to uneasy which way I'm taking it. Minnesota, decent defense. Dallas, bad defense. Can McCarthy do the same thing he did last week at home on the road? A lot of things to go over, Joe, but where are you leaning, Minnesota and Dallas?
What I'm leaning is, can somebody explain to me how the hell this game didn't get flexed out on Sunday night? Like, we're talking about a 6-1 Dallas team against a 5-8 Vikings. And what? We're not flexing this game out for, I don't know, anything at this point. Donnie, in this game, I do think you saw Minnesota bounce back after getting shut out. The offense obviously capable. This feels like we could get an over game here. I think maybe this line is a little bit too low. I do feel like this time of year, teams that are just going through the motions tend to make a few more business decisions defensively. I think we could get a few more points in this one.
By the way, you're right about that, too, because there's a 1 o'clock game that's Buffalo and New England that 95% of the country who doesn't have the ticket is not going to be able to watch that football game. You flex that to the night. I'm interested in that one. New England and Buffalo here, but again, it's the Dallas Cowboys. We'll see how it plays out, and you know the drill at that point. We know who's coming up next, the Prime Minister of Canada. He knows about cold weather at this point. Let's ask Cam some cold weather questions about the NFL, about the NHL, even if there's some golf. Next.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
You're legendary. I'm legendary. And both of these guys love each other. Right? Cam Ward, they do. They work out. They work out. Legendary.
Go ahead.
Cam Ward.
Yep.
Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
250 plus and 2 tutties each.
Amazing. That's nuts.
Why? Why is it nuts?
Come on, that's crazy.
Why, though?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing and now he was number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
What a great Thursday edition of the Early Line. All those hot topics you need to know, we give them out left and right. It's Donnie Wright said, it's Joe Ranieri, and now the man from Mississauga joins us here. He's ready for cold weather action. It's Cam Stewart. Come on, Cam. We like these introductions. We do.
Oh, Donnie, I love you guys. You guys make me feel like I am the mayor of Mississauga and the prime minister. Anyway, 10 centimeters of snow on them, 4.5 inches, whatever the hell we're talking about. Who cares? It's snowing. It is Christmas here, but who cares? Let it rain money instead of snow, guys. Great night last night on In-Game Live with the Spurs and Castle over and even hit the Kraken, Joe. I mean, hit the crack. You know what I mean? These guys have screwed me so many times. Donnie, I don't want to give your loyal fans losers on the show. I get all excited to come on the show, and sometimes my NHL picks, they hit the toilet. So a lot of bad luck, but we'll keep it going. We have golf too, Donnie. Just by the way, before we get into other stuff, I'll get it out right now. Here's the deal. It's the Grant Thornton Invitational, guys. This thing goes off in 50 minutes for all you degenerates out there. It's men from the PGA Tour and the ladies from the LPGA Tour. I love this stuff. You got to see who likes the cool atmosphere, who's got a relationship, who's playing for the first time and doesn't even, oh, you're my partner? Okay, yeah, the other partner stiffed me, so now I got you. So we're thinking about teams that know each other. I got Brooke Henderson. As Prime Minister, I have to have some Canadian representation. Yes. So we have Connors and Henderson, both playing very, very good golf. Joe and Donnie, as you guys know, in very good recent form. They finished 2nd and 4th in this event. It's 10 cents basically for a top 5. I'm going to take them win at plus 650. Also, 2 breakthrough players, 2 Americans. We got Rose Zhang teeing up with Michael Kim. Michael Kim has won on the USA Tour. Joe, you know, he went into Europe and won too. This guy has really started to figure out his game. 14-1, Rose Zhang and Michael Kim. I think they're going to have a great game to complement each other. And the Canadian duo of Henderson and Connors plus 650. Got Brendan Grace in the South African Dunhill. He's in 2nd right now, guys. I like him on his home turf. 4th, 7th in his last 3 events.
And also Q School underway this weekend with Adam Hadwin, the Canadian.
Yes.
The Canadian trying to get his fourth part.
Yes. That's correct.
My buddy went to Q School, Donnie, with his twin. His twin was on the bag, and he was shooting like 82 at the 15th hole. He loses the ball. He goes, can you break my arm? His brother's like, what? He goes, no, literally, I need you to break my arm. I'm so embarrassed to post this number. He almost asked his twin to, like, beat him up in the bushes because he didn't want to post, like, an 87 at Q School. I digress, guys. We got football tonight. It is absolutely gross. You guys talking about putting the Vikings Dallas game somewhere. Can we just nix this game? I don't even know what to do with it. Honestly, guys, I would look at, like, I want to take the Falcons at plus 4.5 because every time they play Tampa Bay, it's tight. We were on the Saints last week as our dirty pooch, but I don't know if Atlanta can do it again. They were hanging with Seattle, guys. Remember, that game was tied, and then Shaheed opened up the second half with that 100-yard return, and he was very, very solid in that game. I have a lean to the Falcons, guys, but Bijan Robinson anytime touchdown. He was really running the rock well, but when Seattle got up 2 possessions and they made Kirk Cousins throw, he was dead. He got absolutely tortured and murdered in that game. The Seattle defense ate him up. So if Atlanta keeps it close, I think Bijan will be a part of the game, but who knows? The Bucs are fading, and the Falcons are just, horrible.
Yeah, it does look good, Cam, when you take a look, too, because Tampa Bay is a 4.5-point favorite. So, they should win over the Falcons, who have nothing to play for. They're eliminated. But understand this, like, Tampa hasn't covered since the first game against New Orleans. Not as if they're just rolling everybody over, but they do get some help tonight. Mike Evans expected to be back. McMillan, Bucky Irvin, another game there. Do you have a feeling on the total at 44.5 at all, or no?
I think we should probably go over in this game, guys. I just see, like, that's the whole thing. The Saints and Chuck are actually running the ball on these guys and scoring, and they have a horrible offense. One thing about Atlanta, I think they can stay in the game early. They have to consistently have that running game. I know they have injuries, but Kirk Cousins, if you give him a little bit of time, he can score. And that Falcons defense, as you saw in the second half against Seattle, it's porous. I have a lean that way, Donnie. I can't tell you I'm confident by any stretch in this game. Imagine, like, you have this game and you're like, oh, man, you have to pick side total. I'm leaning Atlanta. I'm leaning over right now. Bijan Robinson, anytime touchdown. I don't know what to do with the Bucs props right now. I got to give it a second go over there. But this is going to be a gross football game. And usually these gross games, sometimes they're like, you know what? What's Atlanta? What do you guys got to do anyway? What are you going to do? Play a conservative game? You suck. Just go out there and air it out and have some fun and try to win a football game against a hated rival. So I'm leaning that way, guys.
Kind of crazy that we've seen nothing but Atlanta money, too, in the market coming in since this game opened. But, I mean, Cam, we've talked about it here. I'm a Colts fan now. Like, I need to see Phillip Rivers under center, man. Like, I need to have this happen against your Seattle Seahawks team. The problem is 14, 13 and a half, 14. What are we doing? Is it a trap, Cam? What is this?
I got to tell you, Joe, like, Good for the old guys. Philip Rivers is the guy who goes into the bar and like still thinks he can hang with like a 19-year-old, 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Hey, baby, I still got it. But Philip Rivers has 9 kids, so he's not that guy at the bar picking up. He's just a guy breeding. Let's just make that obviously clear. But I'm going to say this, Joe. To your point, who the hell is betting on the Indianapolis Colts in this game? The answer is nobody. Have they confirmed Rivers as a starter? Guys, I thought it was going to be Brett Rippon, son of Mark Rippon, Boise State quarterback, actually born in Spokane, Washington. So you got to think about Seattle. Like, that would make more sense to me. Like, I got to be honest with you guys. I don't want to see Philip Rivers out there for all the good things he does, and Seattle having to hurt this guy. Like, God, he's 44 years old, and he's been murdered when he played in the league. Like, that is not right. You can't have Philip. Like, that's just a recipe for disaster. But I'm going to tell you something, Joe. I'm not confident laying the points with the Seahawks.
Right.
I'm not. Like, it's just one of those situations. Like, who the hell's going to bet on the Colts? I'm not saying they're going to win the game by 24 points, but if Rippon starts and they can establish a run game with Taylor, like, Atlanta was in that game. They were in that game until Seattle broke that game open early up in the third. They had many missed opportunities, and the Atlanta Falcons are not a good football team. So we'll see. I'm not confident laying that number, guys. No way.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun to watch a play out, Cam. We got to get some ice advice tonight. I'm going to ask you right away. Vegas in town to take on Philadelphia. Philadelphia playing that plus money pooch tonight. Any looks on the ice tonight that you like, Cam? What do we got?
Dottie, I got to tell you, sometimes I hit the ice and I go right through, and I don't like touching your Philadelphia games. Kind of like the Tennessee Titans and Raiders, like they're on the banned list. But I would look at the Flyers. I like the Senators tonight in a bounce-back spot. -110 against the Columbus Blue Jackets. That's something that I'm looking at. Also, the Winnipeg Jets, $1.45 against Boston. St. Louis really let us down last game. They're even money against Nashville. And watch it for Edmonton in regulation. Detroit's been on a Western road trip, looking very, very good. I think Edmonton brings them down to earth. And also, when the Leafs play the Sharks, it usually goes over the number. If you can find a 6.5, let the game start, guys. But Leafs Sharks over, Sharks +1.5. Should be like a 5-4 game.
There you go. Let's cash some tickets with Cam. Thanks for joining us on a Thursday, Cam. We'll talk to you next week. For Joe and Donnie, we'll be right back.
Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has half of them.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
Nobody bats 300 anymore because the value of hitting a fly ball, which could eventually become a home run, is so much more valuable. It's when the shift in the NBA went from 2-pointers to 3-pointers. Well, if I can make 40% of my threes, I'm just going to jack threes all over the place. There's more value in that. Well, there's more value in just like ripping driver most of the time.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You've got an 18-1-6 hockey team. You've got a 10-2 football team. So the best record in hockey, the best record in football, and top 5 in the NBA with Jokic and the gang, and the Nuggets at 14-6. And I'm saying to myself, what other town comes close to that?
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We just can't quit Josh Allen. He's at a 16% chance. And then the Baltimore Ravens. Ooh, don't count Lamar out. The Indianapolis Colts and Daniel Jones and Shane Steichen. And then there's those Kansas City Chiefs. But I got to tell you, Joe, you see how we're going lower and lower on this list right here? I'm telling you, a nice little wild card down there. You plunk $100 back and get paid $1,429 back on Houston Texans.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid Network, we like to bring the fire, people. You know we do. Each and every day, we get you set. That's what we do on the early line. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., getting you the topics you need to know before you're out the doors. When you get to the office or where you're going, you're a more informed sportsman out there in the marketplace, Joe. I think we did that job today. We went over a lot of things here, Joe. How do you think the performance was today on a thirsty Thursday?
Oh, just epic, Donnie. Award-winning kind of content is what we're delivering here on a weekly basis. Not to mention winners in this segment, which is even more important than anything else.
Emmys, people, Emmys, that's what we're going for. But this is the part of the show where you say, you know what? Enough of you two talking here. Let us get our piece in here. It's our Fade the Public poll. What are you betting in the marketplace tonight was the question we asked at SportsGrid here. Give us a follow, get the answers to the question here, or at least give us the answers to the question. 4 options, over, under, Falcons or Buccaneers, all dealing with the spread. The leader in the clubhouse right now, I'm not actually surprised by that. It's Buccaneers at -4.5, followed by the Falcons at +4.5. Then it's the under at 19.5, and nobody giving any credence, Joe, to 44.5 as a total. Which way did you wager tonight?
Yeah, it's very hard. All the trends and all of the numbers tell us in this spot, Todd Bowles, Baker Mayfield, the Tampa Bay Bucs, this is not a great spot for them. Short week, division rivals, at home. I mean, they're 1-9 against the number. As a favorite, they're not covering games, especially Atlanta. We saw what those games were a year ago with Kirk Cousins under center. I'd be very weary here about laying any sort of points with the Tampa Bay Bucs because the trends tell me, and I'm not going to argue with them, I'll take the points with the Atlanta Falcons if I'm doing anything here.
Here we go. Battle in the NFC South. Will tip off. By the way, Sunday's afternoon game in Tampa was a rainy day. Supposed to be good conditions tonight. 58 degrees, Joe. No rain in the forecast. So clean slate. You like to see it so you get the best outcome depending on which way you wagered here, which means we're coming up on bye, the best bets of the day right here. We got hockey, we got football, we got basketball, we got Q School in the PGA, Joe. Where are you going for your best bet today?
Well, I'll go to this Thursday night game, Donnie, and forget about the side because I don't really trust either of these two teams offensively right now. But I do think there's some value in the under at 44.5. Now, listen, Tampa's still missing both starting guards tonight. They're also still missing a starting linebacker. However, this is about as healthy as we've seen the Bucs since the beginning of the year in September. They'll have Evans, as we mentioned. They'll have Jalen McMillan. They'll have Tristan Wirfs. But more importantly, they'll have Hassan Reddick back and Tyke Smith, who both got knocked out of the game last week. And that's important because the defensive front of Tampa is going to have success against this beat-up offensive line of the Falcons. And the Falcons, for all their faults, defensively, they're very good at defending the pass. And the Falcons don't have a ton of weapons outside of Bijan Robinson. So, yeah, I think the defenses are going to be the best units on the field tonight. Short week. I don't expect a ton of offense here. I expect this to be a close game. And ultimately, Donnie, 20-17, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't expect a ton of points here.
Let's see what happens tonight between those two. For me, I'm going to head over to the association tonight. Only 4 games on the docket, but you know me. I like to take bad teams in the association to cover point spreads, looking at the Portland Trailblazers and the New Orleans Pelicans. By the way, last night, I had Idaho against Notre Dame getting 11.5 points, tied at the break. 5 minutes ago in the game, down 5 points. They don't score the rest of the way and lose by 15. So I'm looking for a bounce-back night tonight. I'm going to take the New Orleans Pelicans. Why? Line opened up at 5.5. It's dropped to 4.5. Ticket count here. Only 30% or so of the tickets coming in on the New Orleans Pelicans. Nobody wants to take the Pelicans, Joe Ranieri. Your boy DRS wants to take the Pelicans. Give me the 4.5. Give me an outright no sweater here. Let's see what the Pels have at home against the Portland Trailblazers. That's how you get down on a Thursday show. Get some best bet winners out there. Sit back, watch it play out, and see what happens.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, the Pelicans have been covering machines here. So they never get, they're never a favorite. They're always getting far too many points. And yeah, they stay within them. I love them tonight here getting those points.
Let's go, Pelicans. And by the way, tomorrow is a football Friday like you haven't seen on the network. We told you about that full slate on Sunday. Let's get ready for Army-Navy. We're still going to preview the college football playoffs. It's how we get down, people. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. It's the Early Line. It's the Sports Grid Network. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.